The day began like any other on Earth, yet no one could have predicted what was about to happen. The sky over New Geneva shimmered with unusual colors, and whispers spread quickly among the citizens. A ship unlike any human design was descending from orbit. Its hull was not made of metal, but of a glowing, crystal-like substance, and it moved with a grace that defied known physics. People watched from the streets, their eyes wide, their breaths held. Cameras streamed live footage across the world. Governments scrambled to understand what this meant. News anchors struggled to describe the object. They had never seen anything like it. Some called it a miracle, others a threat. Among the security personnel assigned to oversee the event was Captain Elias Ward, a man known for his calm and unshakable courage. Elias had served on both Earth and Martian colonies, but nothing in his career had prepared him for this moment. He adjusted the comm headset and scanned the crowd, noting the tension in the air. The ship landed softly in the central plaza. A single ramp extended, and from it emerged a being that left humanity speechless. It was massive, easily towering over a 2-story building. Its scales shimmered like liquid metal in shades of silver and gold. Its wings were vast and folded elegantly against its back, and its eyes glowed with a soft, intelligent light. The creature moved gracefully, each step careful and precise. A hum of energy radiated from its body, a sound that humans could feel more than hear. Despite its size and power, it radiated calm. It looked around, observing the humans, as if trying to understand them. Elias stepped forward with the other security officers. "Keep the area secure," he ordered, his voice steady. "Do not approach unless it approaches first." The dragon, though no one knew what to call it yet, paused near the crowd. It tilted its head, seemingly curious. A soft, melodic sound echoed in everyone's minds. It was not words, but feelings. A warmth, a sense of safety, and a deep intelligence. Some people gasped, some fainted, but many could not look away. Elias's calm crackled. "Sir, we have an unidentified object in the plaza. Unknown species, highly intelligent, possibly dangerous. What are your orders? Observe. Do not provoke. Let's see what it wants," Elias replied. He took a deep breath and watched the creature. Then, suddenly, a loud bang echoed across the plaza. A figure burst through the crowd. Gun raised. People screamed and scattered. The dragon reacted immediately, spreading its wings in a defensive posture. Its glow intensified, and the air around it shimmered. Without thinking, Elias ran toward the danger. He knew what he had to do. The rogue fired, and time seemed to slow. Elias leapt forward, taking the bullet in his chest. Pain exploded through his body, and he fell to the ground. His vision blurred, and he heard the crowd screaming. The dragon froze, its glowing eyes widened, and for the first time, a sound of pure emotion came from it: fear, shock, and something else that humans could not identify. The attacker tried to flee, but security apprehended him quickly. Elias struggled to breathe. He could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. The dragon lowered its head toward him, and the warmth he felt earlier intensified. Its presence was soothing, almost healing. Yet, the pain in his chest reminded him that his life had changed in an instant. Medical teams arrived and rushed Elias to a nearby hospital. The dragon remained outside the plaza, hovering silently. It did not leave. People whispered that it was waiting, watching over the human who had protected it. In the hospital, doctors worked frantically. The bullet had done significant damage. Elias survived, but the injury caused permanent paralysis of his lower body. He would never walk again. The news spread worldwide, and he was hailed as a hero. Every media outlet praised him, yet Elias felt only a hollow ache where courage and pride used to be. Meanwhile, the dragon known to no one yet circulated around the hospital. Its presence calmed the patients and staff. Some nurses and doctors swore they felt a warm glow when the creature passed by. No one dared approach, yet no one wanted it to leave. Elias struggled with his new reality. The wheelchair felt alien, a constant reminder of what he had lost. He looked out the window at the glowing night sky, thinking of the dragon. How could a creature so powerful and majestic, something humanity had never seen before, need his protection? That night, as the hospital lights dimmed, something miraculous happened. A soft, glowing light filled Elias's room. The dragon was there. It lowered its massive head to the window, looking at him with those intelligent eyes. Elias blinked. He couldn't speak. The dragon's eyes seemed to convey words, though none were audible. A wave of warmth and understanding filled his mind. The dragon was trying to communicate. It was not human, not alien in the sense humans understood. It was something far older, far wiser, and far kinder than anything Elias had ever imagined. For hours, Elias and the dragon remained in silent connection. He could sense gratitude, curiosity, and a strange bond forming. The dragon had witnessed his sacrifice, and it was not indifferent. Days passed, and the world tried to recover from the shock of the dragon's arrival. Scientists speculated endlessly. Governments debated how to respond. The dragon did not leave. It moved gently through cities, forests, and oceans, always careful, always observing. Elias began to realize that the dragon's presence was a gift as well as a responsibility. Despite his paralysis, he felt a purpose he had not felt before. He could not walk, but he could think, lead, and perhaps understand the being that had changed his life forever. Then came the whispers. The news channels picked up on them first. Strange symbols appeared near the dragon's landing site. Symbols no human recognized. And in these reports, a name emerged. Imperia. No one knew what it meant, but the name carried weight. It caused unease, excitement, and curiosity. The dragon never responded when the name was mentioned. Yet, somehow, Elias felt it was connected to the being that now visited him nightly, hovering outside his window, watching over him as if he were more than human, as if he were important in ways he could not yet understand. Elias spoke to the dragon, though it could not answer in human words. "Why are you here?" he whispered one night. "Why do you care?" The dragon lowered its massive head, and for the first time, a single thought entered his mind. Not spoken aloud, but clear. "Because you protected me." Elias's heart ached. He did not understand fully, but he felt the truth. The world had called him a hero, but this bond with the dragon was different. It was personal, profound, and life-changing. The world outside moved on. Scientists continued their studies. Military forces monitored the skies. But Elias knew that something extraordinary had happened. Something that would change not just his life, but the future of humanity itself. And in the quiet hours of the night, when no one else was watching, Elias realized the truth. He had not only protected a dragon, he had touched something ancient, powerful, and alive. And though he did not yet know it, the dragon he had saved was more than a creature of myth. It was something far greater. As he lay in his hospital bed, staring at the glowing figure outside his window, Elias made a silent promise. No matter what came next, no matter the danger or the odds, he would not fail this being who had trusted him. And for the first time since the bullet had struck, Elias felt hope. The world had changed forever that day, and humanity's first encounter with the dragon Imperia had only just begun. The days after the attack were long and quiet. Elias lay in his hospital bed, staring at the white ceiling. Machines beeped steadily around him, marking life and time. Despite the constant presence of doctors and nurses, he felt alone. His world had shrunk to the size of his room and the wheelchair that awaited him. But one evening, as the sun set with streaks of orange across the sky, the familiar glow appeared outside his window. The dragon, massive and majestic, hovered silently. Its scales reflected the fading light, casting shimmering patterns across the room. Elias's heart quickened. He had expected the creature to leave once the danger passed, but it hadn't. The dragon lowered its head to the window, eyes glowing softly. This time, the warmth he felt was stronger, almost tangible. He could feel a pulse of energy flowing from it, filling the room with a calm and comforting presence. "You didn't leave," Elias whispered, his voice weak but full of wonder. The dragon's eyes flickered, almost as if it understood. In his mind, a single thought arrived. Not words, not speech, just a feeling. "I could not leave. You saved me." Elias's chest tightened. He had acted on instinct, not thinking of the consequences. And yet, this creature, more magnificent than anything he had ever seen, recognized him. He wasn't just a human who had gotten lucky. He was someone the dragon considered important. Days passed, and the dragon continued to visit. Each time, it seemed to linger longer. It brought gifts, glowing crystals that pulsed with soft energy, small plants from unknown worlds, and objects that shimmered like liquid light. These offerings were placed carefully in the room, as if to comfort Elias, as if to say, "You are not alone." The hospital staff were astonished. Machines sometimes reacted strangely in its presence. Lights flickered, monitors stabilized, and even the most agitated patients seemed calmer. No one dared approach it, yet no one wanted it to leave. Elias grew stronger in his mind, even as his body remained limited. He spent hours talking to the dragon, though it could not answer in human language. Instead, feelings were exchanged. Gratitude, curiosity, and understanding. It was a communication beyond words, yet it was clear. They were connected in a way that defied explanation. One evening, the dragon hovered closer than ever. Its eyes locked with his. Suddenly, a thought entered his mind. A voice clear, calm, and deliberate. "You are brave. You act with courage beyond your years. That is why I remain." Elias felt tears prick his eyes. He had never felt seen like this before. He wanted to ask questions, to understand. But the dragon withdrew slightly, as if to tell him the answers would come in time. Meanwhile, news of the dragon's arrival spread across the world. Governments tried to contact it. Scientists speculated endlessly. And ordinary people were both frightened and amazed. But the dragon avoided all attempts at direct communication, remaining close only to Elias. It seemed to know that he, out of all humans, was different. Then came the whispers. Strange reports began appearing in secret communications and secure channels. Some mentioned the name Imperia. No one knew what it meant, yet the word carried weight. Ancient records and alien broadcasts hinted that Imperia was a ruler, a sovereign of a hidden empire lost to time. Others dismissed the name as myth or legend. But the dragon reacted subtly. Each time it was mentioned, its glow would intensify, and it would glance toward the source of the mention. Elias began noticing patterns. When certain broadcasts were made, the dragon's wings would ripple with light. When certain symbols appeared, it would hover closer. He felt that Imperia's identity was somehow connected to this mysterious creature, though he could not yet comprehend the full truth. Days turned into weeks, and Elias began a new kind of training. Despite his paralysis, he refused to let his body define him. He worked with advanced exosuits designed for humans with mobility limitations. Engineers from Earth and Mars collaborated to create a prototype, one that could enhance strength and movement even when the body was impaired. Elias learned to operate it with his hands and upper body. Each time he tested the exosuit, the dragon watched from outside, its massive eyes glowing with interest. Elias began to feel a strange bond, not just of protection, but of mutual respect. Though they were different species, different worlds even, they were becoming partners in a way that defied logic. Then came the first warning. Sensors in orbit detected strange ships approaching the solar system. They moved with precision and intent, their designs unfamiliar yet intimidating. Intelligence reports identified them as belonging to a faction known as the Obsidian Dominion, a ruthless empire that had once ruled vast stretches of space. Earth's leaders panicked. Diplomats and scientists scrambled to understand why the Dominion was heading toward Earth. Military forces went on high alert, but Elias, lying in his hospital bed, felt a deeper concern. The dragon reacted. Its glow intensified, wings spreading wide even in the limited space outside. It hovered near the city, scanning the skies. It was then that Elias noticed it. The dragon's reaction was not fear. It was anticipation, readiness. It knew the Dominion. Somehow, in ways beyond human understanding, it had faced this empire before. End quote. Elias's mind raced. "You've fought them before," he said aloud, though he had no idea if the dragon understood. The response came not in words, but in a thought, a flash of memory he felt, rather than saw. Battles across stars, fleets burning, civilizations falling and rising. And through it all, a sense of responsibility, of protection. The next day, scientists studying the dragon discovered something extraordinary. The creature's scales emitted low-level energy pulses, almost like a heartbeat, that interacted with nearby technology. Machines stabilized, systems optimized, and data networks synchronized in ways that no human engineers could replicate. It was as if the dragon carried knowledge and power far beyond human comprehension. Elias realized then that the being he had protected was no ordinary dragon. It was intelligent, ancient, and powerful. It had chosen to stay with him, and perhaps for reasons he did not yet understand, it had trusted him. One night, as the city slept under the glow of distant stars, the dragon hovered closer to his window than ever. Its massive head bent downward, eyes reflecting his own. Elias reached out instinctively, and though his hand could not touch the scales directly, he felt the warmth, the connection, the bond. "You have nothing to fear," the thought entered his mind. "I am here. I will not leave." Elias felt a sense of calm he had not experienced since the bullet hit him. The world outside was dangerous, uncertain, and chaotic. But inside his room, with the dragon near, he felt hope. He began to speak more often, telling the dragon about his life before the accident, about his family, his friends, and his dreams. The dragon listened. It seemed to understand. Though it never spoke aloud, its responses were clear. A gentle shift of wings, a glow that changed with emotion, and a presence that reassured him. And then, the first signs of trouble arrived. Small scout ships appeared in orbit, moving with precision toward Earth. Elias watched through the security feeds as military analysts identified their origin: the Obsidian Dominion. They were searching for something, or someone. The world held its breath, uncertain of what would come next. Elias understood then that this was not random. The Dominion had come for the dragon. But more than that, Elias felt a new sense of purpose. He had survived the bullet, and he had gained a companion unlike any other. He might be confined to a wheelchair, but his mind and courage were stronger than ever. For the first time since the attack, Elias felt ready. Ready to defend, ready to learn, ready to stand beside the dragon, against whatever threats came. He did not yet know the full truth about Imperia, but he knew one thing: their fates were connected, and together they could face anything. As the night deepened, the city quieted. The dragon hovered silently above the hospital, glowing softly in the moonlight. Elias closed his eyes, feeling its presence, feeling the energy that pulsed through the air. He knew that the coming days would bring challenges, dangers, and discoveries. The sun rose over New Geneva, casting golden light across the city that now seemed both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary because life went on for most people, but extraordinary because a massive, glowing dragon hovered in the skies above. Elias Ward sat in his wheelchair, looking at the creature he had saved. Its scales sparkled in the morning light. Wings stretched wide, powerful and graceful. Elias had learned to accept his new reality. His legs would not carry him again. But his mind was sharper than ever. The exosuit engineers had made remarkable progress, creating a prototype that allowed him to move and fight in ways humans thought impossible. Though he could not feel the ground beneath his feet, he could command the suit with precision. Every movement he made with his arms translated into power, speed, and agility. The dragon, whom he now began to call Aurelian, circled slowly above the city. Its glowing eyes scanned the horizon. Elias could feel its thoughts, its curiosity, its worry. The Obsidian Dominion was coming, and Aurelian had known this moment was inevitable. That afternoon, the first scouts arrived. Small, sleek ships, black as shadows, appeared in orbit. They moved with calculated precision, avoiding detection until they were close. Military analysts on Earth identified them as Dominion vessels. Elias felt a shiver run through him. He had faced danger before, but this was different. These were not petty attackers, they were part of a vast, ruthless empire that had once ruled entire galaxies. And somehow, Aurelian had known them. A thought came into his mind from the dragon, clear and deliberate. They seek what I am. They will not stop until they find it. Elias's pulse quickened. You mean, you? He whispered aloud. The dragon's eyes glowed brighter. Yes, the thought came again, this time tinged with pride and sorrow. I am Imperia. I am what they fear. I hid among worlds to protect them, to protect Earth. Now they have found me. Elias felt his mind spin. The dragon was Imperia, the ruler of a hidden empire lost to time. The one the Dominion feared above all else. He had protected not just a dragon, but a sovereign whose power could change the fate of the galaxy. He looked at Aurelian, or rather, Imperia, with new understanding. I didn't know, he said, voice trembling. I just did what was right. The dragon's eyes softened. That is why you are still here. That is why I trust you. Elias realized that their bond went far beyond heroism. It was trust, respect, and perhaps destiny. But there was little time for reflection. The Dominion ships were approaching, and Earth's defenses were ill-prepared for such an enemy. Within hours, the skies were filled with dark ships, each bristling with weapons designed to overwhelm human technology. Earth's fleet mobilized, but it was clear that conventional forces alone would not be enough. Elias's heart pounded as he watched the approaching armada. We need to act, he said aloud. We can't wait for them to reach the surface. Imperia's glow intensified, wings spreading wide as she took to the skies. Then we fight. Together. Elias strapped into the exosuit. The interface synced with his nervous system, translating his thoughts into precise movements. Though his legs could not move, the suit allowed him to leap, run, and strike with extraordinary power. For the first time since the bullet, he stood inside the suit, commanding strength beyond what any human could achieve alone. The battle began with a flash of light. Dominion ships opened fire, energy blasts streaking toward the planet. Imperia countered with a roar that shook the atmosphere. Her wings unfurled fully, casting radiant light across the sky. Energy surged from her body, deflecting attacks and creating shields to protect cities below. Elias joined the fight, moving with speed and precision. He targeted enemy drones and fighter ships, disabling them before they could reach Earth's surface. The exosuit amplified his abilities, but it was his courage, quick thinking, and determination that made him truly effective. Amid the chaos, Imperia spoke to him through their mental link. They are stronger than scouts. The fleet's core approaches. You must reach it. Elias nodded, understanding immediately. The Dominion commander, whoever they were, would control the fleet from a massive command ship. If they took Earth, Imperia would be captured, and the consequences for the galaxy could be catastrophic. Using a combination of speed and stealth, Elias maneuvered through enemy ships. The exosuit allowed him to leap between vessels, avoiding blasts and striking weak points. He marveled at the technology so advanced, yet still human enough for him to control. Meanwhile, Imperia unleashed her full power. Energy beams from her wings tore through the enemy lines, shattering ships with radiant force. She moved with precision, avoiding cities and minimizing collateral damage. Humans watched from below, awestruck. News channels broadcast live as the Dragon No. The Sovereign fought to protect them all. Elias finally reached the command ship. He infiltrated it, disabling security measures with a mix of ingenuity and bravery. Dominion soldiers confronted him, but the exosuit made him almost unstoppable. Every movement was calculated, every strike decisive. He reached the control room and faced the Dominion commander. The figure was imposing, clad in dark armor, their presence radiating authority and menace. Elias could feel their confidence, but he did not falter. "You cannot win," the commander said, voice cold. "Your world is weak. Your dragon is only a myth among humans. Stand down." Elias gritted his teeth. "I may be human, but we do not give up. We fight for what is right." With a surge of courage, he activated the ship's systems, using his knowledge and the exosuit's interface to disable the fleet's coordination. Alarms blared. Dominion ships began turning on each other, their formation collapsing. Imperia joined him, entering the command ship with a wave of energy. She moved gracefully, her power undeniable. Together, they confronted the commander. Elias spoke firmly. "Leave Earth. Never return." The commander hesitated, surprised by the unity of human courage and sovereign power. Imperia's glow intensified, wings spreading wide as a display of unstoppable force. Realizing defeat was inevitable, the commander ordered a retreat. Dominion ships turned away, fleeing into the void. The skies grew quiet. Earth's cities were safe. Humans cheered, both in awe of Imperia and in respect for Elias, the human who had fought alongside her. Elias, exhausted, removed the exosuit. He sank back into his wheelchair, breathing heavily. Imperia hovered beside him, her massive form now calm and serene. "You were brave," she said. Thought by thought, into his mind. "Not many humans would have done what you did. You fought not for glory, but for what was right. That is why I trust you." Elias smiled faintly. "I didn't do it for trust. I did it because it was the right thing. But I'm glad you stayed." Imperia's wings folded, her glow softening. "I will always stay near you. You are more important than you know. And now, the galaxy knows that humanity is not weak. You have shown courage, even in the face of impossible odds." For the first time, Elias felt truly proud. Not because he had been injured, or because he had fought, but because he had acted with courage, integrity, and humanity. He had stood beside a sovereign, a dragon, and shown that humans could rise above fear, limitations, and danger. As the sun set again, casting soft pink and purple light over New Geneva, Elias and Imperia looked out over the city. The people below had no idea of the battles that had raged above them, the courage that had saved their world, or the bond that had formed between a human and a being of unimaginable power. But Elias knew, and Imperia knew. Together, they were not just defender and protector, they were partners. And together, they had proven something extraordinary, that even in a vast, dangerous galaxy, the courage of one human could change the course of history. The city of New Geneva began to recover after the Dominion fleet's retreat, but the threat had not disappeared. Reports confirmed that the Obsidian Dominion was regrouping, building a larger armada for a second strike. Earth's governments worked tirelessly to strengthen defenses, but it was clear that the upcoming battle would demand more than conventional weapons. Elias Ward sat in the hospital courtyard, staring at the horizon. The morning sun reflected off the dragon's scales as Imperia hovered nearby, her glow soft and calming. She had been patient, silent, and vigilant since the last battle. And Elias had come to rely on her presence more than he had ever imagined. He flexed his hands inside the exosuit, testing its responsiveness. The engineers had improved the design, linking it more closely to his nervous system. With practice, he could now move with incredible speed and agility, leap great distances, and even manipulate energy-based weaponry with precision. Though his legs could not walk, the exosuit made him a force to be reckoned with. "Today, we train," Elias said aloud. His voice carried confidence, though he still felt the weight of his limitations. Imperia lowered her massive head, eyes glowing warmly. "You are ready, Elias. But courage alone will not win the next battle. You must understand the power you command and the trust you bear." Elias nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. They were no longer simply defending their city. They were preparing for a conflict that would decide the fate of humanity and the galaxy. For days, Elias trained relentlessly. Imperia hovered nearby, offering guidance through thoughts, feelings, and subtle gestures. He learned to coordinate his movements with hers, anticipating attacks and responding in perfect synchrony. The exosuit allowed him to strike with precision, while Imperia's immense power protected them both. Together, they became a unit. A combination of human ingenuity and ancient strength. Meanwhile, scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to upgrade Earth's fleet. Drawing inspiration from Imperia's abilities, they developed energy shields, enhanced propulsion systems, and coordinated attack drones. Humans were determined not to be passive in the face of an overwhelming enemy. And yet, the Dominion's approach was relentless. Scout ships continued to appear near Earth's orbit, testing defenses and gathering intelligence. Elias felt the tension in the air, a constant reminder that the next attack could come at any moment. One night, as he trained in the courtyard under the moonlight, Imperia's glow shifted. She directed his attention toward the edge of the city, where a shadow moved swiftly through the streets. Elias activated the exosuit and moved to intercept. A small Dominion strike team had landed, attempting to sabotage Earth's defenses. Using his speed and enhanced strength, Elias engaged them. The battle was intense, but brief. Each strike he delivered was precise, each movement calculated. The exosuit allowed him to leap, dodge, and counter with ease. By the time the Dominion team realized the human's power, it was too late. They were captured or forced to retreat. When the threat subsided, Elias turned to Imperia. "They're growing bolder. They won't stop until they find you." "I know," she replied, through their mental connection. "And that is why you must be ready. Humanity can rise beyond its limits, but it must act together. You will lead them." Elias felt the weight of her words. Leading humanity, his people, against a galactic empire was an enormous responsibility. But he also felt a spark of pride. He had survived the bullet. He had learned to move and fight despite his paralysis. He had earned the trust of a being more powerful than any human could imagine. And now, he would lead. Over the following weeks, Elias worked with military strategists, fleet commanders, and scientists. He shared tactics that combined human creativity with Imperia's knowledge of Dominion technology. He demonstrated the exosuit's capabilities, inspiring confidence in humans who had doubted their own strength. Slowly, he became a symbol of resilience, a proof that humanity could rise even when the odds seemed impossible. Then came the final warning. Dominion fleets were entering the outer orbit of the solar system, preparing for a full-scale assault. Earth's defenses were ready, but the numbers were daunting. Elias knew this battle would test every lesson he had learned, every ounce of courage he possessed. On the morning of the attack, Elias activated the exosuit, feeling its power resonate through his body. Imperia hovered beside him, wings unfurled, glowing with radiant energy. The city below was calm, unaware of the storm about to descend. As the Dominion ships breached orbit, Earth's fleet launched into action. Laser beams streaked through space, engines roared, and explosions lit the void. Elias and Imperia moved together, coordinating attacks with a precision that no enemy anticipated. Elias targeted command ships, disabling systems, disrupting communications, and creating openings for Earth's fleet. Imperia unleashed her full strength, striking enemy vessels with radiant energy beams that shattered their defenses. Humans below watched in awe, witnessing power and courage unlike anything in history. Amid the chaos, Elias faced a group of Dominion commanders in a smaller skirmish. They were skilled and ruthless, but the exosuit gave him an edge. Each strike he delivered was amplified, every maneuver calculated to perfection. The commanders were forced to retreat, stunned by the skill and determination of a single human who refused to break. Through their mental link, Imperia guided him, warning of attacks and offering strategy. Together, they moved like a single entity, human courage and alien power intertwined. Hours passed. The battle raged across space, with Earth's fleet fighting valiantly under Elias's guidance. Dominion forces were powerful, but they underestimated the resilience, ingenuity, and determination of humans. They had expected fear and surrender, but they found resistance and courage instead. Finally, Elias and Imperia reached the core of the Dominion fleet. The largest command ship loomed ahead, bristling with weapons and defenses. Elias felt a surge of determination. "This ends now," he said aloud, exosuit humming with energy. Using his knowledge of Dominion systems, Elias infiltrated the ship while Imperia engaged its defenses outside. Inside, he confronted the lead commander, a figure of immense presence and authority. The battle inside the ship was tense, requiring every skill Elias possessed. But he fought not with hatred, only with courage, intelligence, and determination. Through calculated strategy, he disabled the ship's core systems, causing chaos throughout the Dominion fleet. Imperia's power amplified the effect, shattering enemy ships and forcing the remainder to retreat. The battle was won not by sheer force alone, but by human courage, intelligence, and teamwork, with a being more powerful than any human could imagine. As silence returned to space, Elias removed the exosuit, exhausted but triumphant. Imperia hovered nearby, her wings folding gracefully. The battle had ended, but the skies were still alive with tension. The Dominion fleet had retreated, shattered and disorganized. But its presence remained a warning to humanity. Earth had survived, but the galaxy was not yet safe. Elias Ward sat in the control room of the newly upgraded exosuit training facility, watching the horizon. Imperia hovered beside him, her massive wings stretching wide, glowing softly in the evening light. She had guided him through the battle, stood beside him in space, and now, she waited patiently for the next step. "Do you think they will return?" Elias asked. His voice was calm, but his mind raced. The Dominion would not forget the defeat, nor would they forgive the audacity of humans rising against them. Imperia's eyes glowed with understanding. "They will try. Empires do not forgive, but humans have proven they are not weak. And you, Elias, have proven that courage and intelligence can change the course of history. Elias nodded. He thought of the lives lost, the cities saved, the people inspired. Humanity had risen when it mattered most, and he had played a part. But he knew the battle was not over. The Dominion still existed, and Imperia's safety, and perhaps the safety of the entire galaxy, depended on what came next. Weeks passed as Earth rebuilt. Humanity poured energy into science, defense, and exploration, determined not to be caught unprepared again. Engineers adapted Dominion technology, studying its energy systems and fleet designs. Military forces trained relentlessly, using tactics refined by Elias and guided by Imperia's insight. Elias continued to grow stronger, mastering the exosuit and developing new strategies. He trained other soldiers, sharing his experience, teaching them to coordinate with both humans and Imperia. His leadership inspired confidence, and his presence reminded everyone that even in the darkest moments, courage could shine. Then came the message from space, a signal that had been intercepted by long-range scanners. It was from a Dominion faction. Smaller than the main fleet, but still dangerous. They were retreating, regrouping, and preparing to strike again. Their message was clear. Earth could not hide forever, and Imperia would be their target. Elias felt a familiar resolve. He had been injured, paralyzed, and faced impossible odds before. Now, he would lead humanity once more, and this time, he would ensure they were ready to stand, fight, and protect themselves. The night before the next confrontation, Elias sat in his exosuit workshop, reviewing strategies. Imperia hovered quietly nearby, her massive form filling the space with calm power. For the first time since he had met her, he allowed himself to ask the question he had longed to know. "Why did you hide?" he asked. "Why take the form of a dragon instead of showing your true self?" Imperia's glow pulsed gently. "I feared for the galaxy. My presence draws enemies. By hiding among worlds, I protected countless lives. And now, I have found trust in you, Elias. That is why I am here." Elias felt a deep sense of honor and responsibility. He had not only protected her when it mattered most, but he had earned her trust. That trust would guide him through the trials ahead. The next morning, the Dominion fleet returned. It was smaller than before, but more organized and prepared. Their ships moved with lethal precision, aiming to strike Earth and capture Imperia. Elias activated the exosuit, feeling the surge of power course through him. Imperia's wings spread wide, her radiant glow filling the sky. Together, they rose above the city, confronting the incoming fleet with unwavering determination. The battle was fierce. Energy beams streaked across space, ships clashed with destructive force, and explosions lit the void. But humanity had grown. Coordinated strategies, advanced weaponry, and Elias's leadership turned the tide. He moved with skill and precision, disabling key enemy vessels and creating openings for the human fleet. Imperia's power was awe-inspiring. She struck with the force of a star, her radiant energy disintegrating Dominion ships that dared approach. Yet she remained careful, protecting the planet and its people even in the midst of destruction. As the fight escalated, Elias realized that their unity was the key to victory. He guided human pilots, coordinated attacks, and communicated with Imperia through their mental link. Together, they were unstoppable. One human mind, enhanced by courage, intelligence, and technology, paired with an ancient sovereign's power, had become the galaxy's new hope. The Dominion commander, realizing their fleet was failing, attempted a desperate move. The largest ship moved directly toward Earth, its weapons targeting major cities. Elias and Imperia intercepted. The exosuit allowed him to enter the ship, disabling its systems from within, while Imperia engaged from outside, creating energy shields and deflecting fire. The confrontation was intense. Elias navigated the ship's interior, using every ounce of skill and knowledge to outmaneuver the enemy. The exosuit amplified his movements, but it was his courage and determination that carried him through. With precise coordination, he shut down the ship's core, causing a chain reaction that neutralized the remaining fleet. The Dominion forces were defeated. Ships fled in retreat, leaving Earth and its people victorious. Humanity had survived the impossible, rising above fear, doubt, and limitation. As the skies cleared, Elias and Imperia hovered above the planet. He looked down at the cities below, at the people who had lived unaware of the cosmic struggle above them. He felt pride, not in destruction or power, but in the resilience of his species. Humans had risen to the occasion. They had fought, learned, and grown stronger. "You have done more than protect me," Imperia said, her voice clear in his mind. "You have shown humanity its potential. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and heart can stand against any empire. Together, we have shown what is possible." Elias smiled. "We did it together. Humanity did it." Imperia's glow softened. "And now, a new chapter begins. I will return to my empire, rebuild, and ensure peace. But Earth will always have a place in my heart, and you, Elias, will always be my closest ally." Elias felt a warmth that went beyond pride or satisfaction. He had protected a being of unimaginable power. He had fought alongside her. He had led humanity to victory. And now, he understood that even in a vast and dangerous galaxy, humans could rise, adapt, and inspire. The following weeks were filled with rebuilding and preparation. Humanity strengthened its defenses, learned from the Dominion technology, and embraced the lessons of courage and collaboration. Elias continued to train, mentor, and inspire, his story becoming legendary across the world. Imperia departed from Earth, soaring into the stars to reclaim her empire. Yet she visited often, guiding humanity from afar and ensuring that the galaxy remembered the alliance between humans and sovereigns. Elias watched her leave, feeling a mixture of awe and gratitude. The dragon he had protected, the sovereign he had never realized he saved, had become his friend, his ally, and his inspiration. He wheeled himself to the highest point in New Geneva, looking up at the stars. The world had changed, humanity had risen, and he had found purpose beyond what he had imagined. The bullet that had taken his mobility had not broken him. It had prepared him for a role greater than any he had anticipated. And in that moment, he understood. Heroes are not defined by strength alone. They are defined by courage, heart, and the willingness to stand when it matters most. Elias smiled, feeling the night breeze on his face. Somewhere in the stars, Imperia soared, radiant and powerful. But Earth was safe, and humanity had proven itself. And he, a single human who refused to break, had helped shape that future. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, mysteries, and wonders. But humanity had risen, and with courage, trust, and determination, they could rise again always. Elias closed his eyes, feeling the bond between himself and Imperia, feeling the pulse of hope that stretched from Earth to the stars. He was ready for whatever came next. And for the first time since the day he took the bullet, Elias felt truly alive. "You have done well," she said, thought by thought, in his mind. "Not just for yourself, but for humanity. You have shown what courage, determination, and heart can achieve. Even in the face of impossible odds, humans can rise." Elias smiled faintly. "We did it together. I couldn't have done this alone." "No," Imperia replied. "But you led. You inspired. And that is why the galaxy now knows that humanity is not weak, never weak." As they looked over the city, Elias realized how far he had come. A bullet had changed his life. A dragon Imperia had changed it again. He could not walk, yet he had risen to lead a planet's defense. He had learned courage beyond fear, strategy beyond instinct, and hope beyond despair. For the first time since the attack, Elias felt whole, not because of strength or power, but because of his choices, his resilience, and the bond he shared with Imperia. They had survived, fought, and proven that humans could rise above limitations, inspire others, and stand even against overwhelming odds. And though the future remained uncertain, Elias knew one thing: he would never break. Not while Imperia remained by his side, not while humanity's courage still burned, and not while he could rise metaphorically or through his exosuit to face whatever challenge came next. The world had witnessed courage, and the galaxy had felt it. Humanity had proven itself, and Elias Ward had become its shining example, the human who refused to break. And he knew he would not face them alone.